Hey y'all, if you are a married believer trying to navigate this intimacy thing without shame, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because you are in the right place.
Most people are not going to make it even past 3 dates. Either they don't like you no more or you don't like them anymore. When you're single, that's the time you don't have to ask anybody, oh, what you think about this? Or look at their calendar. There are boundaries for a reason. A place where the ocean stops and the sand begins. Don't be afraid to say no. Practice saying no. And you're like blind because you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
he's so fine. He's so nice. It's a numbers game, people. The more people that you talk to, the more people that you meet, the higher the chances of meeting the right person.
Welcome to the space where we tell our truth. Testimony, healing, breaking shame loose. Learning our bodies and walking by faith. Intimacy God's way, right here is the place. Sex ed for saints. Mondays at 6. We believe in the power of the story. Not just pain, but redemption and glory. Faith in the rhythm, hearts in the mix. Trust in educators. Mondays at 6. We're overcoming by the word of these testimonies. People getting free when we speak what's holy. Healing in our hearts, shame starts to split. Every story told, another chain gets stripped. Learning our bodies, learning His way. Intimacy and faith, walking day by day. This is where we heal, where the truth sticks. Sex ed for saints, Mondays at 6.
I'm so excited to finally share this book with you. Hey God, Can I is available now. Find the link in my bio to get your copy.
Hey friends, quick pause in this lesson because I need to put you onto something that has been blessing so many households. This episode has been sponsored by Covenant Eyes, the accountability app that helps you protect your eyes, your mind, and your marriage. If you're serious about keeping your digital life pure, guarded, and God honoring, Covenant Eyes is a game changer. It helps you to stay accountable online and creates a safe space for your heart and your home. And listen, because you are a part of the Marriage Lab, you get 30 days free when you use my code Marriage Lab. So go ahead, take that step, cover your devices, and cover your covenant.
Thank you all for coming in to the Sex Ed for Saints podcast. I'm so excited for this episode today. I am so excited. And before we get into the episode, I have Coach Tiffany on the stream. Welcome, Coach Tiffany. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great to be here. Good to see you, Coach Tammy.
I'm excited to have you. Listen, we've been going back and forth. We've been trying to get this episode in, y'all. We've been trying to get this episode in. But I am finally excited that we're getting it done. And y'all, this one is going to be about dating. Listen, dating is one of those things that I'm so glad I don't have to do anymore. I am not in these streets anymore. And I am so glad because I hear stories all day. And I am just like, man, how are y'all out here surviving? But before we do get into it, if you have a question, I do take questions from the audience. They are anonymous. So if you ever have a question that you want answered, I do answer them on the podcast. You can go to the Instagram page that I have, the Marriage Lab LLC. In my bio, there is a link that you can click on and ask all of your anonymous questions. You can click on that link and we will answer those questions on the podcast episodes as we will do today. And so I'm pulling a question off of here. And this question, it reads, okay, so I've been dating in a godly way, but I'm honestly so confused. I've been taught that dating more than one person is wrong. And that if I'm talking to someone, I need to already be moving towards marriage. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that? Man, that's a good one. That's a good one because, we're taught that we should be marrying, we should be dating to marry. But I want to hear Coach Tiffany. What are your thoughts on that?
Did it say, that is a question, is it a woman or is it a man who's asking this question?
I don't know. I don't know.
So, it sounded like they had a two-part question. One was, should it be like this one person, like dating one person at a time? And then the other part of the question was if they should
So
be dating for marriage. Is that right?
yeah. So it says, so I'm out here. Well, it says I'm trying to date in a godly way, but I'm honestly confused. I've been taught that dating more than one person is wrong. That if I'm talking to someone, I need to already be moving towards marriage. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, yeah, so two-part. So maybe my answer probably may be controversial because I don't teach that. I teach, it's I mean, it sounds bad, but it is what it is. This is a numbers game.
Mhm.
So in the beginning, and especially if you're like, 21, 25, you may have no clue as to what you even want. So one of the ways to do that, to find out, to learn, is by dating several different people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, yeah. So, and, of course, you only got so much time, like 365 days in a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
At some point, you may find somebody that, as time going on, you're dating, you're courting, you're like, wait, okay, I want to just focus my attention on this person. But in the beginning, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
You don't
right.
know what you don't know. So, yeah. So, no, I don't. I mean, as long as you're not being, dishonest, not
Hmm.
saying to come in on the first day and say, hey, by the way, I'm talking to, three other people. That's not necessary either. But if the conversation, that subject matter comes up, you're gonna be honest to say, we call it poly dating now, is what we call it. I'm talking to, I am, looking at my options, and I'm talking to a couple of people. Um, and some will say, oh, aren't you doing that as well? Kind of checking it out. But yeah, no, I mean, as long as it's not like, we just straight lying or manipulating a person, like there's nothing. And like, who says, where is that? There's nowhere in the Bible that says, oh, you only really dating, and especially Western dating is not in the Bible at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who says that? Like, who says that it has to be? And I know some people, especially, I tend to hear a lot of the men say, oh, I can't focus on more than one person. That's fine. If you can't do it, if there's no way, if you can't do it, that's fine. But I noticed that women tend to, women I've coached and counseled have, seem to be better at it. Maybe because women tend to be better at it.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
didn't make
Yeah.
it is what it is. And so, and then, and sometimes, you got different seasons of life, just like we have summer, autumn, fall, spring. In some seasons, you may not be ready to be married. And
Hmm.
so I would not say, oh, the only purpose of dating is you have to be, focus has to be on marriage. Matter of fact, I kind of teach. I don't say the opposite, but yeah, I teach that in certain seasons, once you are clear on where you are, you may just want to learn more and discover. Because sometimes you think you know what you want, but then when you experience, you're like, wait, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, this not it. This not it. This is not what I want. So I mean, it really is only one. I mean, of course, you have experiences. Maybe some people do. They see maybe their parents, or they see their dad, or they see their mom. Like, oh, I want this. I want this type of characteristics. I want X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But you really don't know until you actually experience it yourself. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I highly recommend for people to go on all the dates with different people,
Yeah.
different types of caliber of people, because that's how you learn more about yourself,
Mhm.
and you get and this opportunity to learn more about people in general. It
Yeah.
makes
I
you
love
a
that
better
answer.
rounded person.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. It's not controversial at all. I actually fully agree with you. As it relates to that, because when you are dating multiple people, you're giving yourself the opportunity to connect with different people, but you're gathering information, right? You're gathering information. And for me, when I was in these dating streets, I was dating multiple people at the same time. And I think people, when they hear that, they think, oh, you're having sex with multiple people, but that's not the case. It's really, I'm just dating around and finding out what I like, what I don't like, things like that. And so I think it's a very healthy perspective to be able to, date other people if you have the ability to do that, like you mentioned. I'm excited. I'm excited to get into this episode. Because listen, Coach Tiff is already out here dropping the gems, y'all. But just to give you a little bit about Coach Tiffany, her name is Tiffany Jones. She is a licensed therapist of 15 years, and she became the go-to dating coach for anyone tired of the chaos in the dating streets. And her newly released workbook, How to Navigate the Dating Streets Without Shattering Your Soul, gives us a step by step roadmap that helps singles build their own dating strategy while leveling up emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And it is your guide to dating smarter, not harder, and becoming your best self in process. So I want to get into the episode because, this is dating. People are out here in these dating streets and they say that it is ghetto. They say that it is ghetto. And so it's not for the weak. And so I want to first start with we kind of opened up the episode with it in terms of like, dating multiples and things like that. But as a Christian, how should Christians be dating in these streets right now? How should they be dating?
That's a great question. So you need a framework first and foremost. Just like, when you're building a house, there's a foundation, there's certain steps that has to be taken so that when, a storm comes, your whole house is not going off and you're sitting there, with just your TV and the fireplace, right? So same thing. It starts with you understanding who you are, what you like. So you need to first begin to do some self discovery, really. And I'm learning more and more, that people, not just in their 20s, but some of my clients in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they're still not clear as to what exactly it is they want. And I'm like, okay, before we start dating anybody, I need you to write out, think about, like, investigate yourself. Like you said earlier, we should be gathering information. And I talk about that as well in the book. Like, this is not the time, when you're dating, it's not the time to be like, oh, maybe this is my husband or maybe this is my wife. Not in the beginning, like, especially if you're a woman, because as a Christian woman, you're there to present. You're not making the decision. They're not unless and until they propose to you. Then you make the decision, is this what I want or not, right? If we're doing it, God's way. Because it does say he who findeth a wife, right? But in the meantime, like, you need to be writing, like, you should have a list of like deal breakers, must haves, like at least 5 to 10. Like that's just the basic, right?
Yeah.
And of course that can change as time go on, because what you like when you was 22 may not be as important as some other things when you're 32, because you live a little bit more, right? You learn some things, and it's like, oh, that's not that serious. But this other thing over here is having some character is,
Yeah.
So first it starts with you being like taking time for yourself to investigate who you are, what you like, what is that, what you need, what are your core values. And so I always, and just like I talked about in the book, take that time to write down, think about, and assess what is it that I need, what are my core values, what are my core beliefs. What is it? What are my deal breakers? I cannot, because, once you start the dating and your hormones are involved and your feelings are involved and you got butterflies, you forget everything you was thinking in your head. So that's why I always say, write it down. So you go back and pull out that notebook and say, okay, man, now what did I say? Because when the hormones are going and you're feeling good, you're looking at, 6 feet chocolate or white beautiful teeth, you don't forgot everything, right? And so that's when you need to go back and pull out your paperwork and say, okay, let me see here. Now, what is my core beliefs again? And start as you investigating, as you're going out and interacting and mingling and talking with this person or these people, you can be comparing notes, right? It's like your cheat sheet.
Yeah.
So you're not he's just doing, 3 years later, you're like, wait, why was I in that? Why did I waste all this time? Why did I get involved in this toxic relationship? Why did I stay in this toxic relationship? I mean, of course, we're human, so it happens to the best of us, but let's learn.
Yeah, I think that's so important because it's teaching people that they shouldn't be out here dating blindly. At minimum, you should know exactly, what it is that you're looking for so that, when you go out here and start dating, that you have something to be able to say, okay, I know I wanted this, I wanted this, I wanted this, but these right here are not my non-negotiable things, right? How much time frame should someone give themselves to kind of like evaluate this list of what they want to do when they are in that dating environment?
So that's a great question. So, I talk about that as well in the book. Because see, so we are, we're multifaceted, and we should be forever growing, as we're growing and glowing and learning and becoming our best version, a better version of ourselves. We're not staying the same, just like a plant that's alive. It's growing, right? And so we too should be growing. And so, you know, this is like a this is like a, a framework that is forever changing. So you should forever be assessing yourself, forever investigating yourself, taking a look at who you are becoming, because who I am today is not who I was in 2018, or when I was 25, when I was 30. You know what I mean? So this is something that grows with you. Like, this is not like a one and done thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And so with that, so how does one know when they're actually ready to go out here in these streets and start dating? Like, are there any things that they should be presenting in themselves to be like, okay, I'm ready? Like, how does that work?
That's a great question. And unfortunately, it's not like a 5 steps and then that's it. But I will say, like, sometimes, I mean, we're never like, oh, everything is perfect. But I would say this: if you are, like, I had a friend who was like saying, she's struggling mentally. If your mental health is something that you need to work on, like you're struggling, like, you're having panic attacks. I'm just giving an example, right? Your nervous system is all jacked up, and so that's probably not a good time for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? If you're dealing with heavy depression, this is not the time for you
yeah.
to start dating. Like,
Yeah.
this is time to go get help for your
Yeah.
mental health and your emotional health and well-being. Because what
Yeah.
happens a lot, and I see this a lot in therapy, is that people are already dealing with. I mean, of course, none. You may not be like everything is just sunshine and rainbows, but if you're at the point where okay, I'm dealing with depression, and that's not the time, because the thing is, it's like you have a cup, you have this water bottle, and it's empty, and now you're trying to date somebody and get to know them. It's so much easier for you to end up in a toxic relationship because you're not in a healthy space yourself, right? And so a lot of times
Mhm.
what happens is that people, they're looking for, they have, we all have certain needs. This legitimate needs, but we're looking to people for people to meet them, those legitimate needs, illegitimately.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense? And so
Yeah.
what happens is that the depression gets worse, the anxiety gets worse, and you in a mentally, emotionally, you're in a worse state than you were, 2 months ago or 2 years ago, because you've connected with someone when you were not stable yourself, and now this person has seen, oh, there's some gaps here. Oh, I can manipulate. Oh, she or he, they're easy to run over, and you know,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah. Yeah,
now
which
you
is good.
and your mental health is like 10 times worse, and it's like, oh wait, we got so much more work to do, because now you're even at a deeper hole than you were before.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I want to, go into, earlier we were talking about, the gathering information phase and whatnot, and how, dating is gathering information important. Um, Explain to the audience exactly what does it mean when we say gathering information, as you date?
Right, so great question, because this is a huge problem. This is a huge problem. And I say that for every age group, because I see people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and it's a huge problem for everyone. Well, for women mostly. So, I mean, men it's an issue too, but I think overall men tend to do a little, maybe a little bit better sometimes. Um, but so I'm just gonna speak to first to the women, because I noticed that women tend to see a guy, go out and date or two, and the second date, sometimes the first, after the first date, they're like talking to their girlfriends, and in their head, they're thinking about the wedding dress. And I'm like, no, 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 we're not there. That's not where we at, boo boo. That's not what we're doing right now. And I,
Right.
I go into a lot of details in my book about this, because I see this is an ongoing issue. I'm like, no, you need to be collecting information. You're like a scientist. And this is time for you to collect and gather information, or like an FBI agent. If you are investigating who this person, you do not know them. Like just because you had fun and you got butterflies and you went to this lovely restaurant, like that does not mean that this is your long term partner. Like this
Yeah.
person could destroy you, right? Like you have a vision, you have purpose, like, and this person can stop you from fulfilling that purpose if you don't investigate well, if you don't take the time to really collect the information, collect the data, and assess along the way. If you're ignoring the red flags, or as I like to say, the hot pink flags, a lot of people end up um, with mental health problems that they did not even have prior,
Mm.
because of being in these toxic relationships. Because, oh, he made me feel good. Oh, he gave me butterflies. I'm like, how are we here 15 years later in this
Yeah.
marriage? And you saw, and I'm asking questions, and you're telling me you saw some of these same things that you're complaining about 15 years later. You're saying that you saw these same things before you got married.
Yeah. Yeah.
You was not investigating properly, or you saw it, you just ignored it. So this is the time when as you're dating, it's time to collect information. Like this is not the time to get your feelings involved. And I know that's easier said than done, but that's why it's so important to have what we call guardrails. Like if you go off the highway, if you happen to fall
Mhm.
asleep and have an accident, the guardrail is there to, you still gonna hit the guardrail, you still gonna cause damage to your car, but you're not gonna be as hurt and injured as
Mm.
you would be if you did not have those guardrails there.
That's
Does that make
good.
sense?
That's so
So
good.
you need to have guardrails in place prior to dating. And one of those things would be, having that list of knowing, okay, this is what I want. This is my non-negotiables. These are my must-haves. These are my deal breakers. Having people around you, picking, I call it your tribe, picking, at least, two or three people that you trust. Be great if they are in a really healthy relationship. But even if they're not, if you see that, that they have sound wisdom, they may be a go-to person. I say pray about it and ask God to, direct you. But you should have a couple of people in your corner who who who's not going to just go along with whatever you say. They're going to tell you they're going to tell you the truth out of love, right? And so when when you're like blind because you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
he's he's so fine, he's so nice,
Yeah. Yeah. I
and
love
you can
that. I love that.
to you and say, "Oh no, wait a minute, take a look at this. That's not okay. That goes
Mhm.
against your belief." So, for your
That's
protection.
good. That's good. Because I'm thinking about it and it's making me realize that there are a lot of people out here who are dating like unhealthy,
Right,
right? So they're
right,
gathering information, but they're probably not even in the healthy mindset to even be dating. So how can one know if I'm dating because I'm lonely or if I'm ready to go out there and date as a healthy person so that they can make those, solid grounded decisions as they do gather information.
right. So that's a great question, and this, unfortunately, there's no one two answers because sometimes you realize as you going along, right? So
Mhm.
we have to give ourselves grace, but we have to be honest with ourselves, right? And so, and even, going back to that tribe, you have, or hopefully you have, one or two close, friends, or people, it could be family members, but people that you're close to, that you confide in. Because sometimes we have to we have to ask someone on the outside, like, what do you see? What do you think was going on with me? But also taking it to God in prayer. Like, we have a Heavenly Father who knows us so much better than we know ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think we know and we really don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you say this is right, but is it? So, yeah, taking that time to, again, self inventory and asking
Mhm.
God to you, like, is this the time? Is this a good time for me? Is this the season for me to be dating? Because not every season is the season to be dating,
Yeah.
right? And if you feel lonely or not, and if you do, that's the time for you to start looking at how to create more fulfilling life for yourself, like doing the things that whatever it is you want to do. Because when you're single, that's the time you don't have to ask anybody, oh, what you think about this, or look at their calendar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's the time to start experiencing new things, doing the things that you enjoy, things that you think you may enjoy, getting hobbies. I see that that's a big problem. I'm like, I always ask clients, like, oh, your hobbies, oh, I'm not doing anything. Okay, well, get busy living life. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like go travel if you want to travel. Go learn a new skill. Go, go take
Mm-hmm.
tennis. I love tennis. Go do the things that's fulfilling to you, because
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna have the opportunity if you do get married one day. You're not gonna have the opportunity to move the same way as you would be able to as you are while you're single. You don't have to consult with
Yeah,
anyone.
one
So
thousand percent. I'm just thinking about, when I was out here in these streets, and I was in that phase, and I'm just thinking like, how did I know that I was ready to date? And it was because I was treating the experience like a fun experience, like it wasn't something serious. I didn't make it my goal to get married. I just made it my goal to get to know people. And I think that's one of the things that helped me. And so even if somebody, because I had lots of bad experiences, let me tell you, I had some. I was like, what is happening out here? So I can only imagine what people are going through right now. But even as I think about that concept, like, how does someone stay grounded when they are dating so many people and it's all going like left? Like, how do they stay encouraged when they are dating people and those individuals are just turning out not to be what they're expected?
that's good, because yeah, people do get you get weary sometimes. I remember a girlfriend who I old girlfriend who wasn't dating until she met me, and I got her all involved in the on the dating apps. And sometimes it become a bit much, and I'm like, no, you take a break. Like if you're starting to feel drained, you just take a break. you know, just like if you're exercising and you get tired, you stop and you go get you some water and you take a break. Same thing. It's time to take a break when you start feeling like you're weary and you're frustrated. And so yeah, I think that's important. Like, just you don't just keep going, and you go, and and again, take it to the Lord in prayer, because sometimes not all the time, but sometimes. And I remember one of my friends saying that she was like, "Oh, why am I attracting this certain type of men?" And so that's also important, because this is an opportunity not only to learn about people, it's an opportunity to learn about yourself. And
Mm,
so she realized that, wait, some things about myself I need to work on, because I keep attracting the same type of person. And so yeah, so it's important to to stop and do some self evaluations, and pray about it, and talk to that core group, that's your tribe. And but first and foremost, ask yourself the difficult questions, like what's going on here, what's happening, and and be honest with yourself. But because yeah, sometimes you just have to say, okay, for this next month or the next 2 months, I'm gonna be just dating myself.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
maybe the next 6 months I am dating myself.
mhm,
Like,
yeah,
I mean, there's been times when like I remember one time I was like, oh, I mean, well, it wasn't even me decided. I think the Lord decided. So I know He did, because I was like, wait, God. I was like, wait, what are we doing, Daddy? What are we doing? And I was like, oh, it's been 2 years, but it was good and it was necessary. And sometimes, you need to have. Sometimes it's just not the season to date, and it's time for you to just get along with God, and work on the things that you need to work on, and do you date yourself. So
right, right. So I want to ask, because that was so good, and I'm just thinking about, somebody who's dating, and they're gathering their information, and someone is showing up. They're showing up. At what point, if they're dating someone, they find that they like this person, but there are still some things on their list that's like, hold on, wait, this is not, you know, it's not aligning, but I still like you. Like, how should they handle situations like that?
that's good. Um, it it really kind of depends on what's happening. Like, it's one thing if you think, okay, if you see, oh, wait, there's a red flag. I think it's important to address it with the person, like address, like, this is this is what I feel, this is what I need. I always recommend, for people who know Christ,
Hmm.
to talk to him consistently about what's happening in this relationship and how he think you should move, because he knows best at the end of the day, right? And so, and my prayer is always, okay, if this person, is gonna deter me from where I'm going or slow me down, to take him out. Remove them, right? And so that needs to always be first, is taking every situation, every relationship to God. But also, having, it's important to have conversations, because people can't read your mind. I had to tell my one of my clients who's been married for many years, she's like, oh, he should know. Well, no, he should not know, because people are not mind readers. Sometimes they are, but a lot of times they're not. And so it's important to have that conversation with the person, like, okay, this is what I need. And and just sit back and see, because of course, nobody's perfect. So, and they've been doing something one way, for 20 years. They're not going to stop overnight. But grace. Sometimes grace is necessary to, give them time and space to see if they start to work on the thing or those things that you're saying, you don't like, or you need this, you need them to start showing up in this way, right? Now, if it's, if it's disrespect, um, then you're not going to be have as much grace. Once, maybe twice. You have to see how you feel about it, because everybody's different. Like, I could deal with something that somebody else said, no, it's a hard no for me, right? And so, you have to decide yourself what it is. If it's something that you're willing to deal with or not.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I just, sit back and watch and observe and continue to collect that data.
Yeah.
You'll see whether or not, and if not, sometimes we see things, but we don't really want to see it because we're having so much fun. That's why you have to continue to go to God and ask Him for clarity, and
Yeah.
your core group, your tribe that you decide that you allow them say, hey, yes, I'm going to allow y'all to speak into me when it comes to dating, because I trust you all's wisdom, I trust you all's advice, right? Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. And y'all, for those who are watching and you do have that tribe and your tribe is being honest, just go with it, because you can't make a grounded decision when you're all emotional. And sometimes they be telling you and they be like, hold on, wait. And don't get offended. Like, they know you, they love you, your friends want to see you succeed,
Right.
so trust the friends that you have. And even if they're going to give you some information, you because it's happened before where I've had friends who's like, man, I really like this person, and you give that opinion on who it is that they're dating, and they're like, man, I like it, but like, no, this one ain't it, this one ain't it. Like trust your friends, or make sure you have good friends who are not going to lie to you, let me say that. I want to know, in terms of like when it comes to dating, what kind of boundaries should individuals be setting for themselves? Because we're out here dating and we're Christians, right? And so, like, what kind of boundaries should we be? Well, not we, but should individuals be putting on themselves when they are dating?
Right. So that's good. I think that everybody's different, right? So, some areas one person may struggle in, maybe an area that the next person don't struggle in. So I don't like to give people tell them what they need to do, because you have to, it has to be a framework and boundaries that's going to be conducive to you. And nobody knows you better than you. And so it's important to, but it's important to be honest with yourself and allow those people that's really close to you, who knows you and knows what you like, to also help you with that, with those boundaries list. But I would say, boundaries. There's a book called Boundaries, um, by Dr. Henry Cloud, that I just about have to recommend it to majority of my clients, because no, most people are not taught how to have healthy boundaries. Their parents didn't teach them because their parents didn't know how to, right? But saying no, the foundational word for boundaries is no. God is a God of boundaries, and I have to say this a lot and very frequent, because a lot of times Christians think, oh, you know, I need to be nice, and which yeah, you do should be nice. I need to be patient, but at the same time, there are boundaries for a reason. Like there's a place where the ocean stops and the sand begins. So there's a
Yeah.
place where you begin and the other person ends. So I would say, don't be afraid to say no. Like even if you like the person, even if you have butterflies, even if they, you know, make you jump, your heart jump every time you see them. Do not be afraid to say no. Like you need to operate, practice practice saying no. And I know for some people it's easy to, like me, but for some people it's not as easy to say no. And so so what needs to happen is that you should begin to practice that. It's like a muscle, for those who it is hard to say no. Like in any friendship relationship, you know who you are. Begin practicing that within the confinements of the people who you know, love, and care about you, like your close family, your close friends. Because often, however we move, a lot of times with the people that we're close to, we tend to a certain extent behave the same way when we're in relationships. And if it's not serving you, it's not serving the other person. When every answer is yes, okay, let me go along, get along. So I would say, because Western dating is, it's like being on a roller coaster ride, right?
Yeah.
Be dating somebody for 2 weeks, 2 months, and all of a sudden they decide, oh, I don't like you, I'm not feeling you no more, and it's over, right? It's not stable. It's not meant to be stable. It wasn't created to be stable. But those relationships, like family and friends, people that you're close with, those are stable relationships. Hopefully, they're stable relationships, and that's where I would highly recommend you begin like yesterday. If you have a problem with saying no, practice saying no to them. I mean, you can say in a nice way. Oh, I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I have plans. Practice saying no, because that is the foundational word of boundaries,
Yeah.
right? And so that's what I would give.
I love that. I love that. Practice saying no because that is a foundational word of boundaries. I absolutely love that. And I have a lot of clients. I coach a lot of people who are older and they're single. They want to date, but they are afraid to like go online and try dating apps, and they think that they're gonna meet somebody I don't even know where because they don't even go outside. So for those who are a little bit more seasoned and afraid to like touch dating apps and things like that, like what would you recommend for them to be dating, finding dates, I guess?
I still recommend they go online. Do it scared. We have to do things that we're uncomfortable with. All of us do if we're trying to accomplish something. So I still recommend they do it. Do it with your friend. Have your friend support. I remember one time my sister got on the app and she's like, "Oh, I'm so overwhelmed. There's so many people. Can you help me? Call your friend." I'm like, "Sure, I can. Send me a link." And so get your support, get your tribe, but do it scared. Do it anyway. The chances are there's no way you're going to meet the people. I mean, you can go outside. I do recommend, living your life, doing things that you enjoy. Like I said earlier, the hobbies that you're doing, volunteering, wherever you find yourself busy, being involved in. That's a great place to meet people, whether it's at, a coffee shop or volunteering or playing tennis. But also dating apps. Like
Yeah.
there's just like hundreds of people that you would never have opportunity to meet if you do not go online. I am a huge proponent of dating apps. I have been doing it since I was a long time, 20 something years. And it's just it's a numbers game, people. So the more people that you talk to, the more people that you meet, the higher the chances of meeting the right person.
Yeah, and I love that because it goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, as it relates to dating multiple people, right? It's not, you're not serious. You are gathering, and so it's important that if you are ready to date, like you said, do it afraid. And I think people are just afraid of the unknown. I met my husband on a dating app. Okay, I had a list of places that I wanted to go, and I was like, I'm just gonna talk to you, and we just gonna go to all these different places. And so for me, it was fun. It was exciting to do all these things. But when I first started it, it was very scary. It was very scary. And so you are dating multiple people, you're online, and how do you know when to let go of others and zone in onto one that you really like?
Okay, so that's definitely a personal. That's a personal decision. um, and everybody, like I've heard other coaches say different things. Um, I say hold on to two or three as long as you can, and I may get some pushback from it. I don't care. I mean, I just this is again, it's a numbers game. Because the thing is, you may find something out on date number 5 that you did not know on date number 3, and you're wishing that you had not stopped talking to the other guy or the other woman. And again, I mean, you're still single. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
if somebody's giving you've accepted a ring, you're still single. So I say ride out until,
yeah,
because most people are not going to make it even past 3 dates. Like they're not going to make, like, you're either they don't like you no more or you don't like them anymore.
hmm,
And in the end, it probably won't be no more than 2. And at some point, one of them, you're gonna see something that you don't like. They're gonna see something they don't like, or they're gonna find something else that's shinier and be like, oh, I'm not interested in her, right? So most people are just not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it past more than 3 dates with one person anyway. So that's why I say hold on, because at some point they're gonna fall off. They're gonna do
yeah,
something that annoys you, or you're gonna do something that annoys them, and they're like, oh, it's over. So that's the
yeah, yeah. And I understand that. I understand that because it takes a while, for many. It does take a while for many. And I guess it helps to be a little bit more intentional
right.
with dating. And so, with even that, so how can they be more intentional when they are in situations like that?
Well, it goes back to your framework that you've created. Hopefully, you've created. You have your game plan, your framework, and you're looking at that. That's, I mean, if you have certain expectations, you have certain boundaries, you have certain values and characteristics and non-negotiables. It's going to weed out a lot of people. So that in itself, if you're paying attention, if you're comparing your notes to the person, it's gonna cut down. It's gonna cut down very easily. You just have to follow through. You cannot let that beautiful chocolate skins, that muscular frameworks get you distracted. Don't get distracted, people. Don't get distracted.
Because it happens. It
Or,
happens.
so
People will
yeah,
present their best foot forward, okay, when it
they
comes to
will.
dating.
They will, but not for long. Just pay attention. I mean, they'll show them the colors of colors. It's gonna. I mean, we all are multifaceted people, but you just pay attention and remember, you're not here. Don't get too involved with all of the kissing and sex and all of that. If you just stay focused, that you're here, you have a job to do, and that's to do research and investigate. Don't let your emotions run wild.
Yeah,
Then you're
yeah,
not
for
able
sure.
to, yeah, because then
For
you're
sure.
not able to, you get your vision becomes blurry. Really, when sex gets involved, it becomes blurry, and it makes it so much harder because now you got chemicals involved and you got connections involved, and it's hard to see clearly. So stay
Yeah.
focused.
And I want to ask this because this kind of goes in line with all of that in terms of like, the dopamines and all of those are rushing, especially when you're in the dating phase, right? And so how does one stay guarded in those in that time frame while they are dating to make sure that they can date comfortably but also still protect themselves even though they got a lot of hormones going on? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
So right. going back to I think I mentioned guardrails, and so it's important to have to write it out. Like, you know, think about and be, you know, you have to be honest with yourself, right? You know what you're like, so write out, you know, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. You know, areas, go back and think about times when you know, things have happened that you did not want to happen. Things, you know, things happen, you know, um, look at, you know, what went wrong, like what was the setup, because sometimes we set ourselves up when we don't know that we're setting ourselves up. And so be honest with yourself, and figure that out. So maybe for you, maybe for one person, you cannot have company at the house at all. Maybe you have to be honest with yourself about that. Like, you know, how much control. And then other people, you know, I know I have a girlfriend who's like, oh yeah, you know, we hung out all the time, but that wasn't an issue. It wasn't an issue for her. That doesn't mean it's not an issue for the next person, right? Or maybe, you know, you need to be around other people when you're going, you know, when you're out and about, or when you're dating, versus being in the home. Or maybe for someone, oh, I don't need to, you know, at sunset, they need to be out the door, or only when other people are at home with me. So it's about writing out, being honest with yourself, because nobody knows but you. I mean, you know, and it's not hurting anyone else but you to not be honest with yourself. Take a look at, okay, what works for me, what doesn't, and so these become your guardrails. Okay, for me, I need to. Another one that, you know, a couple of my girlfriends, they hate it, but I'm like, listen, for me, like, you know, I'm like, okay, we don't need to talk on the phone every day because I don't know you. I don't talk to my friends every day. I don't talk to my family every day. Why do I need to talk to you every day? We don't need to do that, because for women, you know, we are moved by what goes in our ear gates, whereas men, they'll move based on their eyes, what they see. And
Mm.
so, you know, you want to get emotionally connected. If you talk to the person every day, don't talk to the person every day. And yes, that may be uncomfortable. And oh, but Tiffany, like my girl, Tiffany, but I want to. It doesn't matter about what you want to do. What's in your best interest?
Yeah. And I like that advice. And I'm just like, well, how do you take someone seriously if you're not talking to them every day? And like, how do you get to learn them more? So basically saying like, give more
Take me
time.
out on a date and we can spend those 2 3 hours together talking and learning about each other.
That makes so much sense because if you're dating and if you're on the phone all the time, you're not going out on dates. You are just
Right.
on the phone. So
Right. And
yeah.
some people are, some women and men, but now I'm gonna talk about men. Some of them are very content. Like if they know, oh, I could just talk to her on the phone, she'll be good. Whereas the other girl, oh, I can't talk to her on the phone because she wants to meet, go out on a date. Then you'll be on the side just talking on the phone if they falling in love, and while he's taking this other girl out and they're going out having great experiences out and about on dates while you at home falling in love and not
That's so
going nowhere.
true. And that's how you weed them out too. That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. That's good. That's good. I don't want to keep you on here all day because we've been on here already for 45 minutes. But
It's
how did
so
you get
good.
into this
It went by
field?
so fast. Oh my God. It went by
I
so
know. I got so much more questions, but it's fine. We can
we
always do
gotta
a
do
part two.
part two.
Yeah. How did you get into this field? Let me ask you that real quick. Like, why are you so passionate about this?
You know, thank you for asking. I realized, like, so and I just like realized this like last year. I actually um in high school, I I did, that was my first time. I actually did. They told me it was like a class where you had to write a how to do something, and I was, I think, a senior, so like 17, and I wrote out and did a speech on how to prepare for a first date. So it's always been something I've been interested in.
That's good.
um, and I forgot all about it until last year, and I was like, oh wait, I did do that. And so yeah, I've always had an interest in relationships. Has always been something that I've enjoyed, and so I guess, you know, and people, and so I guess that's how I ended up, you know, doing counseling. And the more I did counseling, the more I realized, I'm like, you know, one morning I think I was up at 6 o'clock seeing someone, and I'm no longer a morning person. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm about to pass out. And as soon as she started talking about relationship dating, it was like somebody hit me with some dopamine, and I woke all the way up. And I was like, and it was just like confirmation, like, oh yeah, this is truly your passion, your love. Because I was halfway asleep until she started having the conversation. And so yeah, it's always been interesting to me, the dynamics of relationship. It's so nuanced, and but it's so important. I notice we prepare, almost 4 6 years, 8 years in school and college, preparing for careers, and and preparing, like if we're buying a house, it may take 1 to 2 3 years, but we don't prepare as well when it comes to dating.
Yeah.
We don't date well because we have not um, did the proper research. We have not took the time to learn, unless we had, parents or people close to us. A lot of times we don't have the tools, and it causes, when we don't, then we pick poorly, and sometimes our picker is broke, and then we end up in these relationships or marriages with children, and then then there's a breakup and divorce, and so and it plays a you know it causes broken homes, and so I like to start talking to people before they get to the point of marriage. I do talk to married people too, but I like to talk to you before, so we can figure out on the front end how to
Yeah.
pick well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
And
so
that's so good because I deal with mostly marriages, and so I deal with a lot of unhealthy marriages as well as a result of they dated poorly, right? And if they were coming from a healthier place, then they could have dated right or not picked that person who they were with. But I want us to close out, and so individuals out here in the dating field right now, like what kind of advice would you give to someone who is dating?
um well, I would say go get the book on how to navigate the dating streets without shattering your soul. And so you can begin to look at yourself, and there's questions throughout the work, like basically it's a workbook, and you can start to ask yourself the questions for yourself to learn more about who you are as a person, first and foremost, because before you can, figure out what you like or what you need, you first have to take time to spend time with yourself and learn who am I and what's going to be in my best interests, and what's going to be, what I need to move forward in reaching my full potential, my passion and my purpose, basically. What works for me and what doesn't work for me.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. You have given such valuable information. I want you to tell everyone where can they find you on your social media, things like that.
This has been great. Thank you so much for inviting me, Tammy. You can find me on Instagram at I am Tiffany R Jones. That's gonna be the best place. I'm also on Facebook as well, Tiffany R Jones. But mostly I'm on IG, so that's the best place to follow me and get updates.
Absolutely, absolutely. And those links will definitely be at the bottom of this episode. And so, y'all go out and get Tiffany's book. If you are in the dating scene right now, she is giving you the framework to help you so that you can make better decisions as it relates to dating. She spoke about communication, the importance of having your community, all the things. And so, you want to date wisely, you want to date intentionally. And, Tiffany is here to give you all the tools that is needed so that you can function. And so thank you again for tuning into this episode. If you have enjoyed it, please do not forget to hit that like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
Hey y'all, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Now, friends, if this conversation blessed you, do me a favor. Take a moment to like, leave a review, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, because you already know we need more faith-filled, real conversations like this in the world. And listen, I know you heard a gem today, something that made you pause, something that made you think, something that made you say, woo, this was for me. But friend, it might not be just for you. So go ahead and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Send it to a friend, a spouse, a sister in Christ, somebody who's been feeling stuck or silent in this area. Let's spread healing, freedom, and truth one conversation at a time. And until next time, we're going to get candid, but keep it God. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.